Discovery in the void. In the vast emptiness of space, a small human fleet ventured into uncharted territories, far removed from any known civilization. This mission was not driven by a singular goal. Rather, it was an exploration of possibilities, a testament to humanity's relentless quest for knowledge and understanding of the cosmos. Captain Alina Voss, a seasoned explorer with a reputation for bravery and ingenuity, led her crew aboard the Horizon's Edge, one of the most advanced ships in humanity's fleet. As they navigated through star systems that had never been charted, the crew engaged in light banter, sharing stories of past missions and dreams of future discoveries. Their spirits were high. They were pioneers on the frontier of space, where every new star could hold secrets waiting to be unveiled. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship, jolting everyone from their reverie. "Captain, we're detecting an enormous vessel on our sensors," shouted Lieutenant Marco Reis from his station at communications. Alina rushed to his side, her heart racing with both excitement and apprehension. "What kind of ship is it?" she asked, peering at the screen displaying a blip that dwarfed their own vessel. "Unknown class," Marco replied, his fingers flying over his controls. "It's massive, almost 3 times our size. And it's approaching fast." The crew exchanged nervous glances. They had heard tales of great empires that roamed the galaxy, but never had they imagined encountering one firsthand. "Open a channel," Alina commanded. "Let's see if we can communicate." With a few deft moves, Marco established contact. A moment later, a stern voice filled the cabin. "This is Commander Thrax of the Galactic Empire. You are trespassing in our domain. Surrender your ships immediately and prepare to be boarded." A wave of tension swept through Horizon's Edge. Alina raised an eyebrow at her crew, who exchanged incredulous looks. "Surrender? That's quite an opening line," she replied dryly, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Captain," Marco warned under his breath, "this is serious." "Oh, come on," she said with a smirk. "What's life without a little adventure? Let's see how far they'll take this." The crew chuckled nervously as Alina continued. "You know what? Surrender sounds like such a strong word for a first impression. How about we discuss this over tea instead?" The response from Commander Thrax was immediate and more forceful. "You will submit to the Galactic Empire or face destruction." Laughter erupted in the command center. It was an absurdity that was too rich to ignore. "Destruction. Now that sounds terrifying," Alina said mockingly. "But honestly, if we actually cared about your threats, well, we wouldn't be here now, would we?" Marco shook his head in disbelief, but couldn't suppress a grin at their captain's audacity. The Galactic Empire was known throughout various star systems as ruthless conquerors who crushed any opposition without hesitation. Yet here they were, mocking them like school-eared bullies. "Captain," Marco interjected again, his tone more serious this time, "we should consider our options carefully." Alina waved him off playfully. "Oh, please, they're just trying to intimidate us with their big ship and even bigger egos." She turned back to their screens displaying real-time data on the approaching vessel. "Let's keep playing along. I want to see how they react." A few moments later, Commander Thrax sent another message demanding immediate surrender once more. This time Alina leaned back in her chair with an exaggerated sigh before replying. "All right then. We're just simple folk out here exploring our backyard. Why don't you send over your finest envoy so we can talk things out? I'm sure we can come to some sort of agreement." The Empire's ship responded without delay. A small diplomatic shuttle was dispatched toward them. As it approached and landed smoothly on Horizon's Edge, Alina couldn't help but feel an exhilarating rush at what lay ahead. The door opened with an ominous hiss, revealing an imposing figure draped in formal attire adorned with insignias that screamed authority and superiority, a true envoy of the Galactic Empire. He stepped off with an air of arrogance that seemed almost palpable. "Primitive," he muttered under his breath as he surveyed their ship with disdain. Alina stepped forward with a welcoming smile that belied her amusement at his demeanor. "Welcome aboard. "Hope your ride wasn't too rough," she exclaimed cheerfully. The envoy merely scoffed at her attempt at friendliness and took his seat across from Elena at their conference table, a stark contrast between his rigid posture and her relaxed demeanor. As he began outlining terms for submission, demanding resources and technology in exchange for protection, the tension in the room shifted from amusement to barely contained laughter among Elena's crew. "Wow," she said mockingly as she leaned back in her chair with exaggerated consideration. "That's quite generous. All our stuff for what? Protection from who exactly?" The envoy narrowed his eyes at her flippant attitude, but pressed on with thinly veiled threats about forces beyond human comprehension lurking in the galaxy. One of Elena's crew members couldn't hold back any longer and let out an uncontrollable snort of laughter at this point. She shot him a quick grin before returning her attention to their guest. "Right. Of course. Thanks for your offer, but we're pretty good at protecting ourselves," she replied confidently. The envoy stiffened visibly. He was clearly unaccustomed to such blatant disrespect from what he considered an inferior species. "You do not understand the consequences of defying the Empire," he warned ominously. Elena stood up smiling wide, as if sharing an inside joke with her crew members before responding. "Oh no. I think we understand perfectly. You see, we've dealt with plenty of bullies before. Always same story. Big ships, big egos, not much else." As she spoke those words, laughter erupted once more among her crew while confusion clouded the envoy's expression. He was utterly baffled by their nonchalance. "You will regret this," he spat before storming out of their command room. Once he left, laughter filled Horizon's Edge, echoing through its corridors like music celebrating victory over intimidation itself. Captain Elena Voss shook her head incredulously. This had turned into something far more entertaining than she'd anticipated. "Well," she said finally as she caught her breath from laughing so hard, "that was fun. But I guess we should prepare ourselves. Seems like they'll be sending more than just words next time." Little did they know how right she would turn out to be. The Galactic Empire would soon learn that underestimating humanity could lead to consequences far beyond mere embarrassment. Mocking the Empire. As the Galactic Empire's envoy stormed off Horizon's Edge, a palpable sense of exhilaration filled the command center. The crew erupted into laughter, their earlier apprehensions evaporating like mist in the morning sun. Captain Elena Voss leaned back in her chair, a satisfied grin plastered across her face. "Well, that was entertaining. I didn't think they'd take our little charade so seriously," she said, her voice laced with amusement. Lieutenant Marco Reyes, still chuckling, chimed in. "They really thought they could just waltz in here and demand our surrender. It's almost cute, isn't it?" The crew continued to bask in the afterglow of their unexpected encounter with the Galactic Empire. They had expected danger but found only absurdity. Yet beneath the laughter lay an undercurrent of tension. They'd all understood that this was far from over. The Empire wouldn't take their mockery lightly. "All right, everyone," Elena said, raising a hand to quiet the room. "We need to prepare for whatever they throw at us next. They may be arrogant, but they're not stupid. They'll come back with more firepower." As if on cue, the ship's sensors began to beep urgently. Marco's expression shifted from amusement to concern as he scanned the readings. "Captain, we have multiple ships approaching fast. Definitely larger than before." Elena's heart raced as she turned to face the view screen displaying a fleet of imposing vessels cutting through space like a dark cloud on the horizon. "Looks like they're not done playing yet," she said, her voice steady despite the rising tension. The crew quickly shifted gears, moving from laughter to focus as they prepared for battle. The atmosphere transformed, the jovial banter replaced by a sense of urgency and determination. Elena could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins as she took charge of the situation. "Marco, get me a read on their ships," she ordered. "We need to know what we're up against." With practiced efficiency, Marco tapped away at his console. "It looks like they've sent a full detachment, at least 5 capital ships and several smaller cruisers. Their weapon systems are fully powered. Elena nodded thoughtfully. They're trying to intimidate us with numbers. Let's not give them what they want. Prepare our defenses but hold fire unless I give the order. The crew moved swiftly, their training kicking in as they activated shields and prepared weapon systems without engaging yet. Elena felt a surge of confidence. They had faced worse odds before and emerged victorious. As the Empire's fleet closed in, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and curiosity about how this would unfold. Would they continue to underestimate humanity? Would they fall into the same traps that so many others had before? "Captain," Marco said suddenly, breaking her reverie. "They're hailing us again." "Put them on screen," she replied, eager to see how this next round would play out. The view screen flickered to life, revealing Commander Thrax once more, his face twisted in anger and disbelief. "You insolent fools! You dare mock the Galactic Empire! Prepare for your annihilation." Elena couldn't help but smirk at his fury. "Oh please, annihilation. That sounds so dramatic. You really should consider taking up acting instead of commanding a fleet." Thrax's eyes narrowed dangerously. "This is not a game. You will submit or face dire consequences." "Dire consequences," Elena echoed mockingly. "You keep using that phrase. It's starting to lose its charm. How about you just send over some popcorn instead? This is going to be quite the show." The crew erupted into laughter again. Even Thrax looked momentarily taken aback by their audacity. But he quickly regained his composure, his voice dripping with disdain as he replied, "You will regret this insolence." With that, he cut off communication, leaving Elena and her crew in fits of laughter once more. "Did you see his face?" Marco gasped between chuckles. "I thought he was going to explode." Elena wiped tears of laughter from her eyes and leaned forward in her chair, her expression turning serious once more. "All right, team, let's get ready for whatever comes next. We need to be smart about this." As if on cue, the Empire opened fire without warning, their ships unleashing a barrage of energy blasts aimed directly at Horizon's edge. The crew braced themselves for impact. "Shields up," Elena ordered sharply. The ship shuddered as energy beams collided with their shields, but held firm against the assault. The crew exchanged glances. Their technology was holding strong against the Empire's initial attack. "Return fire," one crew member suggested hesitantly. "No," Elena replied decisively. "Let them waste their energy on us first." The Empire continued its relentless assault, while Horizon's edge remained unscathed behind its powerful shields. As energy blasts lit up space around them like fireworks on a dark night, Elena felt a thrill course through her. This was what exploration was all about, facing danger head-on and coming out stronger. "Captain," Marco called out suddenly with excitement in his voice, "I'm picking up something strange on their communications channels." "What do you mean?" she asked curiously. "They seem to be experiencing technical difficulties," he said with an incredulous grin. Elena raised an eyebrow as she watched Marco work furiously at his console. "Are you serious? They're having trouble?" "Yes, it looks like some of their targeting systems are malfunctioning. They can't seem to coordinate their attacks properly." A wicked smile spread across Elena's face as she realized what this could mean for them. "Let's give them something to really panic about then. Marco, hack into their systems and see if we can escalate this chaos." With a nod of understanding, Marco set to work while other crew members monitored their own systems closely. As he delved deeper into the Empire's communications network, he began rerouting signals and creating confusion among their ranks. One by one, reports flooded in from various Empire ships experiencing malfunctions. Engines stuttering, communication lines crossing over each other. Chaos reigned supreme within their fleet. Elena couldn't help but chuckle at how easily things were spiraling out of control for them. The mighty Galactic Empire reduced to disarray by simple human ingenuity. "Hey guys," Marco shouted suddenly with glee as he intercepted an internal transmission from one of the Empire's captains who was frantically trying to regain control over his ship amid all the confusion. "What's happening?" another crew member asked eagerly. "They're panicking," Marco exclaimed through laughter as he relayed snippets of frantic orders being shouted across various ships. "Redirect power. No, wait. Don't fire that missile. We're firing on our own ships." The humans roared with laughter at the absurdity unfolding before them. It was almost too good to be true. "Let's join in on the fun," Elena declared mischievously. She instructed Marco to broadcast some of these intercepted communications back to the Empire's fleet, adding fuel to their growing panic. "Hey there," Marco announced cheerfully over the comms while amplifying one particularly frantic captain's voice. "Looks like someone forgot how to fly. Maybe you should have read your manuals before coming after us." The reaction from the Empire was immediate. A mix of confusion and outrage surged through their ranks as they struggled against both external attacks and internal chaos. Elena leaned back in her chair again with satisfaction while watching everything unfold on screen. It was clear now that this battle would not just be fought with weapons, but also with wit. As minutes ticked by and chaos continued among the Imperial fleet, Elena couldn't resist sending one last message. "How are those dire consequences treating you? Maybe next time you'll think twice before picking a fight with us." The humans reveled in their unexpected advantage, turning what should have been a perilous encounter into an exhilarating game where they held all the cards. Little did Commander Thrax know that every moment spent underestimating humanity would lead him further down a path of humiliation and defeat, one that would echo throughout history long after this encounter faded into memory. Technological warfare. The aftermath of the initial encounter with the Galactic Empire left the crew of Horizon's Edge buzzing with excitement and disbelief. They had faced down a formidable foe and emerged unscathed, their confidence soaring as they prepared for the Empire's inevitable retaliation. Captain Elena Voss, buoyed by their success, gathered her crew in the command center to strategize their next move. "All right, team," she began, her tone shifting from playful to serious. "We've shown them we're not to be trifled with, but we can't underestimate them. They'll come back with a vengeance, and we need to be ready." Lieutenant Marco Reyes nodded, his fingers already dancing over his console as he pulled up schematics of the Empire's ships. "They'll likely send a larger fleet this time, thinking sheer numbers will intimidate us. But we have an advantage. They underestimate our technology and our ability to adapt." Elena smiled at Marco's enthusiasm. "Exactly. Let's use that to our advantage. We've spent years developing our cyber warfare capabilities. It's time to put them to the test." The crew sprang into action, each member focused on their specific tasks. Engineers worked on fortifying their systems, while others began analyzing the Empire's technology for weaknesses. Elena felt a surge of pride as she watched her team operate like a well-oiled machine. They were not just explorers but warriors ready to defend their home. As expected, the Empire did not take long to regroup. Within hours, their sensors detected a massive fleet approaching, far larger than the first wave. The dark silhouettes of capital ships blotted out the stars behind them, a stark reminder of the Empire's power. "Captain," Marco called out, his voice tinged with urgency. "They're deploying a full-scale assault formation. It looks like they're serious this time." Elena's heart raced as she studied the tactical display on her screen. "Let them come," she replied confidently. "We'll show them that brute force isn't everything." As the Empire's ships closed in, Elena ordered her crew to maintain a defensive posture while they prepared for an offensive counterattack. The humans had learned from their previous encounter. They would not engage in a head-on battle, but rather employ tactics that would exploit the Empire's rigid strategies. "Marco," Elena said, her eyes narrowing as she formulated a plan, "I want you to hack into their communication systems again. Let's gather intelligence on their movements and see if we can create some confusion among their ranks." "On it," Marco replied, his fingers flying over his console as he initiated the hack. The crew watched intently as Marco worked, lines of code flashing across his screen like lightning strikes in a storm. Within moments, he had infiltrated the Empire's systems once again. "I'm in," he announced triumphantly. "I can monitor their communications and relay information back to us." "Perfect," Elena said with a grin. "Now let's see how they respond when things don't go according to plan." As the Empire began its assault, unleashing volleys of energy blasts toward Horizon's edge, Elena stood firm at the helm. The ship shuddered under the impact of incoming fire, but their shields held strong, far more advanced than anything the Empire had anticipated. "Hold steady," she commanded as alarms blared around them. The Empire pressed forward with relentless aggression, confident that their overwhelming numbers would secure victory. But what they didn't realize was that every shot they fired was being monitored and analyzed by Marco and his team. "Captain," Marco shouted suddenly, excitement bubbling in his voice. "They're targeting our shield generators. We can redirect their energy blasts." "Do it," Elena ordered without hesitation. With deft precision, Marco manipulated their systems to absorb and redirect energy blasts back toward the Empire's ships, turning their own firepower against them. The maneuver caught the Empire off guard. Several of their ships began experiencing power fluctuations and malfunctions as their own weapons turned against them. "What just happened?" one of the Empire's captains shouted over his comms as confusion spread through their ranks. Meanwhile, Horizon's edge remained unscathed as laughter erupted among the human crew at their unexpected advantage. "Let's keep this going," Elena said with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Marco, start broadcasting some of those intercepted communications back to them. Let's really get under their skin." Marco grinned and quickly set up the transmission, amplifying panicked orders from various Imperial captains. "Redirect power." "No, not that way. We're firing on our own ships." The humans reveled in the chaos unfolding before them. It was an unexpected turn in what should have been a straightforward battle. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to humanity's ingenuity. As minutes passed and confusion reigned within the Imperial fleet, Elena decided it was time for Horizon's Edge to take action again. "Let's launch our counteroffensive," she declared firmly. The crew sprang into action once more, coordinating their movements with precision honed through countless drills and training exercises. They targeted key systems on the Empire's ships, engines, communication arrays, weapon systems, using data gathered from earlier encounters. One by one, Imperial vessels began to falter. Some lost power entirely while others spun out of control or fired wildly at nothingness due to jamming signals from Horizon's Edge. The once mighty fleet was now reduced to chaos, a sight that left Elena feeling exhilarated. "Look at them," one crew member exclaimed through laughter as they watched an Imperial ship collide with another due to miscommunication caused by hacked systems. Elena couldn't help but join in on the laughter. It was surreal watching what had once seemed like an unstoppable force crumble before them. "Captain," Marco shouted suddenly, breaking through the mirthful atmosphere. "We've intercepted another message from one of their commanders." "What does it say?" Elena asked eagerly. "It seems they're trying to regroup," he replied while monitoring multiple channels at once. "But they're completely disoriented. They don't know who is giving orders anymore." Elena leaned back in her chair with satisfaction. "This is turning into quite a show. Let's send them another message. Is this really your best? We expected more from a galactic superpower." With another round of laughter echoing through Horizon's Edge, they sent out their taunting message across all frequencies, driving home just how thoroughly they had outmaneuvered and outsmarted this supposedly superior force. As chaos continued among Imperial ranks, Elena felt an overwhelming sense of triumph wash over her. They were no longer just explorers. They were warriors proving that intellect could triumph over brute strength every time. Finally realizing that they were losing control of the situation entirely, one desperate captain managed to get through to Horizon's Edge. "What do you want?" he shouted frantically over comms. Elena leaned forward into her microphone with a calm demeanor masking her delight. "We're just having a little fun. Consider this a demonstration of what happens when you underestimate us." The captain sputtered in disbelief before cutting off communication again, a final act of desperation that only fueled further chaos within his fleet. As minutes turned into hours, it became clear that victory was no longer within reach for the Galactic Empire. They were losing not just ships, but also morale as reports flooded in detailing failures across every sector of their fleet. With precision strikes dismantling key vessels one by one while maintaining minimal damage on Horizon's edge, it became evident that humanity had achieved something remarkable, a complete reversal against an enemy thought invincible. Finally realizing defeat was inevitable amid all this turmoil, the remaining commanders ordered a retreat, leaving behind remnants of what had once been an imposing armada now reduced to mere wreckage floating aimlessly through space. As Horizon's edge watched from afar, the humans sent one last message. "Next time, maybe don't bring a knife to a gunfight." The echoes of laughter filled every corner of their ship as news spread throughout various channels across galaxies. Tales of how humanity had brought down an empire believed unbeatable would soon become legend, a testament that adaptability could conquer even those who wielded overwhelming power without understanding its true nature. In victory, the humans celebrated not just for themselves, but for all those who had ever faced oppression at the hands of tyrants like those within galactic empires. A reminder that courage paired with ingenuity could change everything, even in the vastness of space.